Come find your fortune in the depths of the sea.
Path of Exile 1. If you haven't heard, it's an RPG created by Grinding Gear Games, and as of recent, the IP has become much more noteworthy due to the success of the pre-release of Path of Exile 2. It's much more accessible and modern sibling. If we were to compare the two games and their SteamDB charts, we can see both the all-time peak, average population during the peak of a patch, and the population averages during their lull periods show that PoE 2 is consistently higher on every single one. Well, I want to give attention to the still popular yet underrated Path of Exile 1. Wait! I already did the cool intro. Cue the video essay music! So what do I mean by everyone quits this game? Here, let's take a look at the Steam achievements just for 1 second. So why look at the Steam achievements? Well, let me direct your attention to this. See what I mean? No? Okay, if you haven't played this game before, let me explain. Just like any RPG or game, honestly, Path of Exile can be broken down to the early, mid, and late stages of the game. Although each part is up to everyone's own interpretation, here's mine. Let's focus on the early game portion. Path of Exile's early game / tutorial is split into 10 acts, each concluding with a final boss at the end of each act. The achievement I just showed is the achievement for killing the very first act boss of the whole game. Something normally done by the average player in probably 30 minutes. Why don't the majority of players reach that point? To find out, let's take a look at the very beginning of any new player's experience, and for fun, count all the roadblocks that keep them away and how to solve them. And already we have our first roadblock. How does a new player make a character? Better question, how does a new player even get past this screen to get to the character selection? Well, this is the league selection screen. This allows you to pick a server / league for your character to exist on and what restrictions that character will have. There are two main distinct servers available almost at all times, Standard League and the current Challenge League. The Challenge Leagues always contain the most recent update to the game with new game mechanics and a fresh start economy. It does a full reset with each major patch, and characters within the previous Challenge League are sent to the Standard League, as in you can't play them in the newer Challenge League. This is probably the league majority of players choose on a new update. Speaking of the Standard League, by the way, Standard League is a long-term, never-ending league, consisting of characters rotated out of Challenge Leagues or characters created specifically for Standard. The economy never resets and doesn't get the Challenge League's updates and changes until after the Challenge League gets replaced by another league. Phew! Glad that's all done and explained. Any more and I feel like I wouldn't even make it to the character select screen. Oh, right. Restrictions. So, there are two restrictions that you can select. Hardcore, known as HC, and Solo Self-Found, known as SSF. Depending on what league and restriction you chose, you'll be placed in a server where you can only run into people that have that exact league and restriction choice you made. So, Standard Hardcore will never run into, say, Standard SSF or Challenge League Hardcore. You can even choose both restrictions, so your server will be labeled as Hardcore Solo Self-Found, fill in the name of some random league here. If only that was the only difficult acronym of PoE. I mean, just look at this. Does that say cock? Keeps everything exactly the same, except you only have one life.
That's so ironic.
If you die, your characters will get sent into the league you chose without the hardcore restriction. Kinda like losing your hardcore status in OSRS, if you know ball. Solo Self-Found, on the other hand, has nothing to do with your life. Well, your virtual life maybe not, but your real life is going to be very affected.
But, what exactly does that mean exactly?
I was gonna do it!
Solo Self-Found removes all possible interactions you can have with other players. No trading, and no party play. Once again, if you know ball, it's like Iron Man mode in OSRS. You'll have to farm every item you need by yourself.
Holy shit! We can finally make a character. Here, let's choose the settings the majority of players would choose, aka the current Challenge League, with no restrictions.
Who are you people?
So how do you pick a character? Well, using traditional knowledge of RPGs and MMORPGs, clicking on them should elaborate exactly what they do.
Do you think you are savage enough to face the land of the damned, Lord? We offered you truth, yet still you clasped your superstitious lies.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Roadblock number 2. What do these characters do differently from each other? The little narrator guy doesn't explain jack shit, and I don't even have any visual example. Well, this is where PoE differentiates itself from other RPGs. We will get into that whenever we get into the passive tree and the skill systems. For now, let's just pick a character we think is cool. Ooh, big muscle, swing big hammer, big balls. Ah, here we are, the beach. Hey guy, I just got here, so I was wondering if you were... Oh my god, get off him! No!
I'm sorry.
Oh, shiny. This right here is a skill gem and will contribute to one of many roadblocks in the future, but as of right now, the game actually describes it pretty well. You put the gem into the correct color slot, and bam! You get to use the skill as it shows up in the hotbar, and just like that, basic attack will never be used ever again.
I'm sorry. Don't leave me.
Continuing forward, you find the shiny box, which contains, here it is, another roadblock, a support gem. And knowing you won't even read anything and will wonder why you don't have a new skill gem. Well, now would be the best time to explain the two types of gems. Active gems grant active skills, and support gems add passive effects to the active gems if linked, which is this line going between the two sockets on your current weapon. If you don't have this line connecting the two sockets, the support gems will not support the active skill gem, even if they are socketed on the same item. Warning, new players, this is a common thing. Don't do this, okay? Realize they're not linked without the link, okay? Got it? Either way, we take this new stick and red rock combo and beat the fuck out of the very first boss. and head into town. Oh, we have a passive point. Let's just click this plus sign to allocate it real quick and oh. So, yeah. Roadblock number 4, baby. I don't have the stats on where most people quit exactly, but it's probably here. How can I summarize this down so 99.9% of the world's population of people can play this game? Well, this is where character selection matters again. You see, there are certain corners of this gigantic ass passive tree where you get to start, and the corners are based on which character you choose. Builds will usually revolve around characters that start in the right spot that gives them access to most of the passive nodes that they need in an efficient manner. Surprise roadblock number 5! After learning about skill gems and the passive tree, a lot of people will be hit with the guide dilemma. Do you, as a new player, use a guide, or do you experience the game in its truest form? I'll just say I'd prefer that new players use a guide, at least for the early portion of the game. Using a guide, you get introduced to the many external softwares, websites, tools, and it will be overwhelming. The essential piece of software being POB, otherwise known as Path of Building. This thing is basically the passive tree put into a massive calculator playground where you can test all the numbers you want in a bunch of scenarios. But the key thing is, you can import other people's builds and follow them exactly. Usually the build guide can be found on YouTube and they describe a bunch of aspects you'll need to know to have fun playing their build. And the more detailed the build maker, the more detailed and handholdy it will be to follow them. But back to POB. Look at this thing! Every build guide uses it, and it doesn't come with a tutorial to use. And I won't be explaining it here. Maybe in a different video? Or just look it up, you lazy fuck! Now let's say you just said, I ain't use no guide, and take a turn down a different path and try freestyling Path of Exile. First, find a skill gem you want to stick with. How PoE usually works is you stick with one skill and fine-tuning the shit out of it until it's to your liking. So usually never. You unlock a bunch of new skills at the vendors in town after certain quests throughout each act. So try them out and stick with it if you find the one you like. Oh yeah, you have vendors, by the way. Not another roadblock, I don't think. Hopefully. In each town, you have these gem/wand vendors where you'll get all of your gems for that specific act, and the armor/weapon vendor where you get the typical RPG vendor guy. Buy my stuff! Sorry. But although the vendors themselves are not roadblocks, the currency they use definitely are. So let's say you want to get yourself some skill gems. You got some gold on you from the little beach area at the beginning. How about you buy something? Yeah, vendors don't take gold. In fact, gold hasn't existed in PoE for long and was only a recent addition. Instead, most of the currency you'll use to trade with other players and most vendors will be these things. So orbs are used for crafting, and each orb does a different thing for crafting, and I'm not gonna go and explain each one. There's a lot. I suggest you read them, experiment with them, and then figure them out in that process. Yeah, sorry. But function aside, you get them randomly as drops, usually. And vendors will give you their wares if you give them your massive blue fucking balls. Either way, use them for crafting or use them for buying things. Let's continue the axe. Now, you'll go through and complete quests, get rewards, gear up, and kill the act boss on repeat till the end of Act 10. I'm surprised. Are you done? There aren't any more roadblocks? Why is that still on the screen? Roadblock! Gear up. How does one do that exactly? Well, just like everything else in this game, it has to be complicated. And just like everything before, I have to explain it. I truly think that gear is something you just start to understand as you put more time in the game and start to see the patterns and items you'll drop or see in guides all the time. I'm not going to explain it here, but I will give you like a very, very rough and quick and simplified crash course.
Welcome to Gearing 101 with your professor, me.
Thank you, Me, for the introduction. Hey students, today we will have a lesson on gearing up. Make sure you pay attention because we have an open note test coming up with only one question and a time limit of 10 hours. Should be pretty easy since it's only one question. Anyways, on with the lesson. So, all gear have the capability to have or add modifiers, split into two separate groups of affixes, the prefixes and the suffixes. Now, I know this sounds like an English 101 class, but that's just how ARPGs are, okay? So, can you just like deal with it so we can move on? God.
Yeah.
Oh, what the fuck? Think of these affixes as certain stats that can show up on your gear. And prefixes and suffixes will have certain stats that are distinct to their group of affix. Yeah, it's a lot. But that's not all. Gear also have rarities. You got normal items with white borders that don't have any affixes, magic items with blue borders that can have up to one of each prefix and suffix, and lastly, rare items with golden borders and can have up to 3 prefixes and 3 suffixes at the same time. There is one last rarity known as unique, which is orange, brown, whatever. They have weird funky stuff going on and have no consistent rule because they're unique. I'd say you'll discover a bunch of them as you play and just mess around with them. They're usually pretty niche and specific to certain builds, so they probably won't work for you, but they're a cool addition, I guess. Now, all pieces of gear have different affixes from each other, but the most different one will be your weapon. They usually only have offensive prefixes and suffixes to contribute to you doing more big damage. Lastly, sockets. Gear can drop with any amount of sockets, with the most amount of sockets being 6, and also drop with a random amount of links connecting those sockets. Just like you can add prefixes and suffixes onto your gear using the orb/currency, you can add sockets and links using a different type of currency, the end. Yay! Yeah, I'm sorry. Either way, you've done well, young Beansprout. You have all you need to tackle the tutorial of the game, the 10 acts of Path of Exile. What? You're saying I didn't mention anything about the acts even once? Huh. Well, the goal of this video wasn't meant to be a comprehensive guide on everything. It was more just, meant to fill in the gaps of the game that doesn't really tell them anything. I'm not gonna handhold them for the entire 10 acts. You have a sniper trained on my position? With a generic red laser pointing at my head? Oh. Thank you guys for watching the video. I know I didn't cover nearly as much of the game that I needed to cover, but honestly, Path of Exile is a big game and I don't really think I have the ability to cover everything possible. If you're new, I highly implore you try the game. Put in some hours in, put in some distance. Like I think maybe after the acts would be a good measurement of how much you like the game, but it really depends on you as a person. If you can find that skill that you like and go through that experience of making it be the strongest and most insane skill you can ever see that would not exist in any other game, that's truly where things get really satisfying, and I hope you do get to that point. And there are a bunch of different other skills out there. If, say, the first one you do choose doesn't work out, try something else. There's probably something for anyone out there. Please give this a try. I truly believe that Path of Exile 1 can rival not just PoE 2, but the bigger games out there as well. Again, thank you for watching.